Welcome back to Lucid Living, and if this is your first time, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you aboard. My name is Andrew Larkin. I'm an actor, model, performer, storyteller, breathwork coach, and today I'm going to be your host, your guide for today's podcast episode. All right, my friends, not going to lie, we have an exciting one today because if anyone has gone through the logistics or the analytics of the Lucid Living podcast, you will find out that the person that we have on today was on in the past, and not only was he on in the past, but dude, that was our highest viewership episode. So it's pretty hype. Pretty
Wow.
hype. The people were asking for it and the people got it. So we'll introduce them in a little bit, but first let's make sure that we dive into a little bit of breath work. So today we're going to do a nice 4-2-6 breath count. We're going to inhale for 4, we're going to hold for 2, and we're going to exhale for 6. We're going to do this 3 times. And remember, as we inhale, we're going to expand the belly outwards like you're filling up a water balloon. You're going to inhale through the nose. So you're going to inhale through the nose, expand the belly for 4, hold for 2, and then exhale out the mouth for 6, and that belly is going to come back to your center. We're going to do that 3 times. When we do this kind of breath, we exhale longer than our inhale. It channels the parasympathetic nervous system, which is that rest and recover. Really great for calming the nervous system down and just becoming still and present for the rest of the day. So let's take this moment for us, whether it's your morning, your afternoon, or your night, and let's tap into the breath. So let's begin with an inhale through the nose in 3, 2, 1. Big inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. Exhale out the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last one through the nose. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2. And exhale out the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Return your natural breathing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Make sure if you got some water near you. If it's as hot as where you are, where it is where I am, it's hydration is key right now. It's like 95 and humid, so stay hydrated, all the good stuff. Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans of all ages, today we have a director, a writer, an actor, a storyteller, a content creator, a Philadelphian, and our second time on the show guest, Mr. Steven Konnovitch. What's going on, brother?
What's Thank you for having me back. How is the audio and video on your end? I just switched to my hotspot.
Oh, hotspot. Hotspot is hot. Looks pretty good.
It Sweet. Okay, hotspot is hot. The Wi-Fi was cutting out during that breathing, but I
Mm.
still was able to get some pretty present, grounded breaths there. So I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, bro.
I think we're good to go. Thank you for having me back on, dude. When you texted me, I was pumped. I was really pumped.
Yeah, man, of
Really
course.
pumped.
Yes, sir. So we usually have a format that we go through with these episodes. We talk about the present, the past, and the future. But since we
Right.
already have the episode where we dive into all the goods, and I'll make sure to put that episode in the show notes so you guys can listen to it. Because again, it was a banging episode. Banging episode. So much content, so much knowledge, so much wisdom. Today's going to be a little bit more of a niche episode, but I still figured it's nice to start off because we did that episode a couple of months ago, and we're in a different season of life sometimes every week, every
hmm
day, every month, So just let us know how you're feeling in this particular season of life.
You're talking to me right now.
Yes, sir.
I thought you were talking to the viewers. I'm feeling good, man. Thank you for asking. I'm feeling slower and more connected,
Hmm.
which is a fun thing. I feel like something beautiful, I guess, about being present is that I feel like it expands a moment. And there's the inverse that sometimes happens when you're like, I got to do this and I got to do that. You're working at like a lack of time rather than an abundance. And I feel like I've been really focused on giving myself time back and just like continuously doing the work of like the repetition of you're enough in this moment. And that's sprouted some really beautiful crops, I think. So it's been fun. It's a fun time in life, I think.
That's amazing, bro. Now I want to dive into this. This whole episode is pretty much before we talked. You had been grinding in the content creation space and was doing a baller job, like really great growth. We know that a lot of success that comes from content creation, specifically in the social media realm, is through high quality work, but also consistency. And you've been so
Sure.
consistent. And since we talked last, again, it's only been a couple months, and we've seen a lot of growth. Again, the high quality
Sure.
videos, but then also consistently putting out content, building an audience, building a platform. And it's just been
Mm.
really cool to see. And so this whole episode is really, I just want to dive into what it's been like over those past 2 months and where you're at. And I love hearing you talk about presence and kind of stillness within it, because I think we attribute a lot of people who are quote unquote content creators as just pedal to the metal, go, 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 no time to breathe, like every second counts kind of thing. And
Mm.
so yeah, I want to kind of start from, I guess, not the beginning of the content creation space, but I guess where we left off, which was right before, I think, Steven Anderson. I'd love to hear the creation of that character of written, like, to let us know, because I think last time it was
Sure.
like, I don't even know if we talked about written by a woman or if that was even on the docket or if it was like, this is what I'm doing up next. But that whole cycle has really like done its full moon course, you know? And I'd
Sure.
love to just hear about the creation, because I know you said writing is one of your favorite mediums and form of expression.
Yeah.
So from creation of written by a woman and then leveraging that into using your platform to really expand and grow that story.
Yeah, man. Thanks for, I guess, when did we talk last? It was February or March or so. Sounds about right. Maybe April. Um, there's so much good, cool stuff that you just talked about there. Uh, and you're so right when you talk about, I guess I guess it's creators, right? But I think all artists are content creators. Like, I don't look at myself through that content creation or even like influencer, um, sort of like logo or I don't limit myself in that way. Although it's tricky. I just think of myself honestly as an artist, but really as just like a person who is trying to give themselves consistently the gift of being able to express and opening up space. Like that's kind of all that I'm trying to do is open up space. So I want to talk about that because I liked what you said about content creators sort of having this vibe or this way that they're perceived. Um, the Steven Anderson story, I was thinking before we got on here, I was like, do I just continue the bit on this podcast? Which would be very funny if I was like, yeah, I don't know, some random criminal that looks just like me logged into my account and that's all I know. Um, that was a story that I really had a lot of fun with. I wrote the script initially. I was just talking with a friend about this. I wrote the script initially October or November of last year. And I was really drawn to the idea of we're at a place, I think, in society and in history where um, we're so self aware, and sometimes like self awareness can too much self awareness, or there's like a degree of self awareness that actually isn't self aware, and I often find that to be where a lot of my comedy is born. I guess because I put a value on self awareness. But this particular character, Steven Anderson, was born from that script that I wrote, and I really liked it. I thought it was some of my better work. Shot it with a friend, Joshua Highland. We did that in April, and we both cut it up and edited it for about a month, and then went live with it on YouTube. And I thought, wow, I'm really proud of this work, and I think that's all we're really at least that's all I'm aiming for. That's the target, is maybe not just even pride, but I did this and like I set out to do this because I was inspired and I had the discipline to carry it through. And then I thought, okay, well, I have, I have a bit of an audience on like a bit of an audience on online. So I was like, let me just promote this and started doing skits to promote it and quickly just fell into this really cool, sort of felt theatrical where like you're doing it every day. Um, this routine of just like doing the character every single day, and I think we did that for about a month, and it was really, really exciting to me, and and sometimes difficult. Sometimes, like, I'm someone who has a lot of ideas, and if I have an idea, I like to clock it and I like to store it. So not being able to tap into that stuff and having to push everything aside for this one character was uh, a challenge that I think brought a lot of discipline. Um, but it just was super fun to do. Um, and uh, just I learned so much from it. There was a video that sort of went off and kind of blew up towards the end of it that was explaining the whole story. And up until then, um, it had gotten some attention in this and that. I think we all make art because we want to be seen, but again, just it was a great lesson in understanding why you're doing it. It's a form of self-expression, and it's because it's coming through you. And at the end of the day, you're just sharpening your blade of self-expression, because it'll get dull if you don't trust your intuition. Um, don't even know where I'm at with this story. um, but yeah, then I just kept going with the storyline, and I kept going where I was inspired and where I felt it was funniest and also most cohesive. And then we got to the end of it, um, and I made a documentary that I put on YouTube, and that just had a lot of fun doing it. And that's
Mm.
what I'm trying to focus on.
Yeah, brother. Absolutely,
It was
dude.
a lot. It was a lot.
I love it, man. And I want to kind of backtrack because I feel like words are so limiting, dude, because I always like that's why I love like the deaf community because you have to really be present and like actually listen to someone to get like
Mm,
I'm thinking I'm saying something and like I want you to receive that and see that same thing. So we got to get there. But now it's like we
yeah.
have a word that is like a symbol for a thing, but now this word carries like 20 different meanings because it has like a bunch of different connotations around it. And I feel like
Hmm.
content creator is one of those things, because I think if you like look up the work that you've been doing and you like look up by definition like the content creator, like you fall in that space. But I think there
Mm,
have been so many people who have paved the way of this idea of an influencer or a content, like we're all influencers in our own way. If you're putting
hmm.
information out on the web for a certain purpose, for a certain value, you're a content creator. But there have been so many
Hmm.
people that have maybe done it for the wrong reasons, and then it kind of is like I don't want to be called that thing because now it's fueled with like this sticky kind of connotation. Um,
Sure.
and I think artist is just like a more beautiful term, in a way. But I think we live
Yeah.
in all of those kind of worlds. But dude, just the idea of language and it's kind of like identifiers, which is funny because I like always ask every person on this episode like what their identifiers are, and I've gone back and forth with myself with that because I'm like I don't really love the idea of identifying ourselves as like certain things because what is like
Mm.
identity and why limit ourselves to
Specialization is
certain
for
things?
insects. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a tricky, weird thing, dude. But I think you're so mindful and so intentional, and if you know
Thanks,
what
man.
you're doing and why you're doing it, and you're doing it for the right reasons, no matter what you call yourself, like it's purpose driven and it's beautiful and it's freaking awesome to see, and
Thanks,
um
brother.
and it's being received, bro. It's freaking being received,
Can I
and
just comment on
yeah, of
some of this stuff? I don't want to throw you off your
course.
train of thought, but um, I think about this a lot, man, because sort of feeling like I'm diving headfirst into creating and all of this stuff in the last couple of years. Um, excuse me. I think at least I came with a lot of self-limiting beliefs based on what I saw. Um, and maybe other people relate to this, maybe they don't. But we've talked about before where it's like there is the fear of, oh, I'm creating this thing, and I'm starting on TikTok, or I'm starting on Instagram, or I'm starting on YouTube, and then we think like, oh, because the work that inspires us is on streaming platforms, it's in theaters, or it's on the live stage, that like it's going to be that it'll somehow be detrimental to our journey if we start in these places.
Mm,
But if you look over the course of time, like those places, those channels, those areas where people didn't know if this was going to be, like, people wouldn't do streaming TV, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago because it was seen as like a risk. And now I just watched the House of the Dragon finale last night, and arguably the biggest actors on earth and some of the most talented are on the biggest stage on a streaming platform. So I think it's something that I got caught up a lot on, and ultimately it's the result. It's how you're perceived, and it's not the action itself. Um, and I think what's much more important to focus on, at least for me, what I find more value in focusing on is like, am I creating things that are valuable to me? There's so many times I'll watch a comedian, or I'll watch a show, or I'll watch a piece of acting, or I'll dive into a piece of writing and think like, God, this my soul needed this right now, and it could be something as simple as a 5-second TikTok video. And I tend to get obsessed with stuff like that, where I'm like, God, like I feel this in my soul, and that's really my target, is like things that I feel in my soul, because I think people seeing content creation as being adjacent to art, and it being this way to maybe generate an income. There's a lot of content out there that I feel like is almost trying to hypnotize you into staying for something you don't really care about. And I think that the annotation we have to make to that, if that's the right word there, is like, or the adjustment we have to make in our minds is like, I don't want to create something that a bunch of people see. I want to create something that a bunch of people feel, and a bunch of people didn't realize they needed, but they celebrate. And to do that, you have to take risks and go where you can go, which is these sort of social media platforms. But I wanted to say that because I think I think the reason maybe these social media platforms get so poo-pooed on, or maybe we're just making that up in our head, um, is because there's a lot of content out there, not a lot of art. And there's a difference between the two. Like content, my good friend of mine, Colin Tunney at Cultivision made a cool video about this. It was like there's a difference between content and art. Content is you trying to appease someone and make them happy and give them what they want. But what they really want is to be surprised by self-expression, or to feel something and think, I didn't even know, like I said, I needed that. So I think that's really important. And it's actually energized me to a point where I used to be very fearful about creating online, and now I'm very excited because I know and I see other people doing it, where when they bring this energy and they bring their soul, and they celebrate their audience but aren't enslaved to them by trying to give them exactly what they want, that's when something really beautiful can be created. And that's where I see the most profound work is from artists that do that. I can name them endlessly, but
Hmm. Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, it's just like, I mean, the idea of like a salesperson, that's kind of one of those things that's gotten really muddied over the ways because there's so many tropes and
yeah.
Hollywood talking about these terrible, sleazy salesmen, and they're out there, they're real. But also, like, if you have a really good salesman who like knows a problem, your problem, knows how to solve that problem, like that is a
Hmm.
gift. You know, the idea of content, um, when people are like, metaphorically, like those sleazy salesmen, like they're almost those content creators who are posting to get people to like they're posting something like a
Yeah.
false like photo in the beginning to pull you in like a direction to just get. And I also heard someone talk about they'll actually make lesser quality content or more controversial content that actually
Oh
isn't in
yeah.
alignment with their values, but it sparks like arguments in the comment section, and that blows up your post. So like there's a
Hmm.
weird. It's all kind of comes down to intention, and content can be that kind of negative side, 100%, but it can also be like if you curate your platform around great people. There are a lot of amazing people that are sharing a lot of amazing value. Um,
Hmm.
and you kind of curate yourself so you're consuming motivation, inspiration, art, beauty, grace, like all these other things, then the idea of content is actually it's incredible, dude. And you go into
Yeah.
this thing and you're actually gaining and growing and feeling uplifted, then feeling like and all that stuff. So it's
Right.
really, I guess it's like you got them two wolves, which one are you gonna feed? Which one are you gonna feed? But
Right.
also to
Right.
your
Right.
point about just the evolution of social media, it's just changed, man. You know, it was like back in like the silent film eras. The idea of having a talkie was like, "Who are you, bro? What is this? What is this?" There was so much
Yeah, yeah,
distance to it. And now it's like, "What are you talking about?" It's like you wouldn't even think about that. And same thing with like the Industrial Revolution, dude. It's just change is really scary, and it takes time to
right.
kind of adapt. And social media is not going away. Artificial intelligence isn't going away. We're not going to talk about that today, but like these kind of new innovations, they're here to stay. But
Yeah,
I also wanted to talk about with growth, with consistency, with high quality leads to it being seen a little bit more. You're growing as a platform and it's being received by an audience member. And with, great intention, you got a lot of people who love it, who support it, who send so much love. But flip side of every coin, there's also a negative side to it as well. And there'll be people
sure.
who pretty much only intention is to go on social media and try to spark debates and put people
Hmm.
down because that's the only dopamine hit. That's the only affirmation or confirmation that they're alive, sometimes like that.
Sure.
So there is the negative side to social media as well, which can be really, really challenging and really scary. And I think the fear of reaching that resistance, of getting that resistance, stops people from creating because,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
you get the best actors in the world and they're getting knocked on their best performances, their mediocre performances. Like there will always be naysayers. And I feel like you're starting to enter the space of growth where you're on a platform and there's going to be people that pull you down. And I just want to hear what has that been like for you? Because I don't know if you've experienced that in the past before this kind of escalated growth, but with this growth, I mean, I've seen some of the comments and
Hmm.
like, how do you engage with that? Do you engage? Do you have like a mindfulness practice to get through that, to not place too much energy on that? What has
Hmm.
been your kind of journey around the scrutiny that comes with, success?
Uh, well, I appreciate you calling it success.
Bro, from where you were yet like a year ago, that's like it's huge. It is.
Yes, right, right. I'm also someone that thinks that like, and I think we do this. We think this too. That like setting out and doing the thing. Yours. If this idea of success exists, then you've done it
Right.
by
It's like an
doing it.
end goal, but it's not. It's because I guess you've succeeded because that's more of like a I guess that also feels like there's like success like
Mm.
end game, like there's nothing beyond success.
I
So I
j-
see what you
y-
mean, yeah.
Success to me is just uh is just that I've designed my life in a way that I wake up and I say, "Oh, this is what I care about is what I'm doing."
Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah,
But I also think
and
it's good to like acknowledge
of
that like
course,
we want to build that platform, and like it
right.
is an acknowledgement that the growth from that is just kind of a byproduct of the idea of success, which is showing up every day and putting out what you love. So it's
Yeah.
good to yeah.
And I was about to say like the thing that I hold dearest to my heart and the thing that like energizes me the most is just connection with other people because I just think it's the best thing in the world. Like it's if I had to give up everything else just to be, like it's what I'm most focused on. And in creating, I guess, an audience, you can do that. But that's why I try to as focused and as true as I can be to like what authentically I want to make. That's where I try to go because I don't want again to trick anyone into thinking like I want to give everyone the full picture of what I'm maybe creating on a channel or what my truth is so that they can say I like this truth or this truth isn't for me. Like that's why I'm not too obsessed with follower counts or anything. But you're right, as more people have seen it, it's been this beautiful thing of like connecting with so many people. Now with that, you're right, comes negative comments, especially while I was doing that written by a woman thing, because it was sort of a it was a bit. It was fake, it was fictional, and I was going into real places. I was in real environments and I was in this environment that a lot of people go on social media apps and think I'm looking at real life right now. Um, but I just always come back to I've never once, as hard as I can try, I never go on, I never look at any piece of art and and hate someone for it, right? I really try to never look at anyone with hate. So because of that, I kind of hold myself to a standard that if someone does uh, bring fear or hate in to this environment I've created that I pride myself on being built upon love, then like it's kind of like building your house down the shore up and the waves come in, but it's like not affected. Um, because yeah, it's not to say that like I don't read comments sometimes and be like, geez, this person, but it's always this person. It's not I'm taking this and internalizing it. Um, how I came to that conclusion, I think just thinking about it and continuously and not impulsively saying like, well, this person might be right. I guess it's self-trust. It's trusting myself over it's trusting myself, the person who created the vision, edits all of the videos to match the vision, puts the video out, takes the risk. It's trusting that person over the person who was swiping and saw the video and brought everything that's going on in their life into it when it comes to how I feel about myself,
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. And
I
then
think.
totally, bro.
Did I answer did I answer all that?
Yeah, man.
Okay, good.
Did you have any, I guess you did kind of answer, like, was there, because it wasn't even like you were like berated where it was like crazy, crazy negative comments, but when they did come up, because I mean, you also, I think a part of growing the platform is also engaging with the audience and engaging with the comments. Um,
Right.
so did you ever go down like a wormhole where it's like, I need to put it away or something like that? Because like it was ever like too much? Was it like was there ever like you needed a support system, you needed to talk about it, you needed to like journal things down, or were you just, you were so strong in the self-trust to be like you didn't take it personally, you know what I'm saying? Because I guess anyone else who's like possibly listening to this, who's creating content, who experiences, negative comments, to whether it's one comment, whether it's a million comments, it still kind of can penetrate in certain ways.
Mm.
So I guess what kind of like really healthy practices maybe that you use or that you recommend for anyone who's going through something like that?
Um, I think the biggest part is not to take yourself too seriously.
Mm,
And people sometimes I think that's not a loving practice, but it actually is because then you get to just go and realize, oh, maybe it's not about me, even this thing that I'm creating. And it's like that's big. And then also yeah, there's and maybe I'm just lucky in this way, but in I don't know, trying to be myself every single day and just like leaning into that even when it's scary and just trying to overcome that fear. There's so many people, real people that I talk to in real life that are like no one's ever talked to me in real life and said anything hateful about what
mm,
I did. It's always just maybe it's admiration or inspiration or just talking about people just want to talk about it in a positive light. And that's what really matters because like all that stuff's fake. Now, I do try to not look at, even though I create on these apps, I try not to look at them as much as I can throughout the day. Usually not before like 5 o'clock if I'm not posting. Um, So I might go on at like 11 or wherever whenever to post, but as soon as I do, I'm trying to get right off of it, and just live in the real world, and then I'll maybe allow myself some because I do get inspired by what I see on there. Like it is a place where there's a lot of inspiration to be found. It's just it's tricky because you're not just watching a film, you're watching tons of stuff, and then all of a sudden, without knowing, you're overwhelmed. But that's what I would say is like it's okay to be misunderstood. Anyone who I misunder because like I guess I always bring it back to me, and I think if I misunderstand someone, I'm curious about them,
mm,
and I try to bring love with that curiosity. And I've never sat and thought I don't understand this person, so I hate them. And for someone to think that, I think it's revealing how they feel about the world that you have to subscribe to it. You have to be something. You have to fit into what other people think you should be to be accepted, which I don't subscribe to. At least I try not to subscribe to that.
yeah. I love that, bro. I love that.
Yeah,
And
thanks, man.
this is my last question on Written by a Woman.
Oh,
But
oh,
I must say, dude, your commitment to the character, to the story,
to
was beyond
the bit.
impressive. And I want to ask because being deep in that character for it was like every day for a month, right?
Month or
Did
so, yeah.
that ever? Because I mean, I'm sure we pulled a little bit of like life into this character, so there's parallels. But did playing that bit, and I'm not even gonna use the word method, but like the bits themselves was almost like, am I looking at Steve Konnovitch right now, or am I looking at Steven Anderson? It was like it was
Mm.
so deep in Steven Anderson. Did that character like seep into your personal life, like as you were shooting that whole month? You know what I'm saying?
Uh,
Or were
I
you able
guess
to
you
disassociate pretty well?
I guess I don't really think about it like that, which could be a bad thing, could be a good thing. I just see it as a thing.
Hmm.
Um, I think in those moments, maybe thinking less is a good idea because the second that you start saying, "Oh, who am I right now?" that you don't know who you are, but I feel this. I guess I feel this strong sense of self because I already know that I don't fully know myself and that I'll never fully know myself, but that I'm interested in knowing myself. So it's why I love playing characters because every time it's me and every time I learn more about me. So um yeah, I mean, dude, at times it got old to me and I was like, how do I just end this? Um but I set out a goal of like where I wanted to go with the story and it took time and it's that hallway, right? It's from one door to another. Like the hallway can be long, sometimes it can be dark, but if you have a vision, it's worth going and getting it. Um, but it's I think it's constant self reflection and self compassion that really helped. Like there were moments where whether it was coworkers or people would joke about the character in relation to me, and I would start to have moments like, oh my gosh, this is this having the impact that I want it to have? Are people seeing me in a certain way? Is this or that? And I in those moments I just had to sort of be like, get to a computer, get to a notebook, get with yourself, write down how you're feeling, be compassionate, remember like write down and remember the things that you actually believe because life's pretty simple when we listen to ourselves. It just gets complex when we allow outside voices in.
Absolutely.
Um, Something my therapist told me, so I'm
Ah, that was beautiful,
not
bro.
gonna coin that for myself, but it was a big mind blower when I talked with him. So that's what I would say is like we know what the right thing to do is, or at least we think we do, and you gotta chase after that. You have to your intuition. The more you trust it, the better you get at trusting it, and therefore the more intuitive you become, and the more connected you become, and the more authentic you're going to become. I guess people we talk about authenticity or like being fully yourself. That takes practice because like we don't necessarily live in a world that uh values it on the surface level, and it takes some time to keep trusting yourself and keep going after what you think is interesting and listen to people say that's I don't why would you do that and keep being like no it's interesting to me, and then all of a sudden you get to this point where like you have such a sharp tool in that self-trust and now you can do some pretty amazing things that you've always been capable of. It's now you're just getting out of your own way.
And how, because I have someone, that I love, and I think self-trust is like the biggest thing,
Mm.
that needs to be fine-tuned and just place a little bit more intention on. And like if once the self-trust gets there, like that'll open doors for so many other things to come through. How would you say, like, how do you build self-trust in your,
God.
yeah.
uh am I all of a sudden the authority on this subject? No, no.
It's just
uh
in your experience, because you clearly have self. I mean, it's a constant journey. It's a constant,
Yeah. No,
constant.
I only joke because there's so many more ways I know that I can trust myself. But I do know that I have at least a decent degree of it that I do on a daily. I would say it's one of those things where you just have to start and you just have to do it. And there are moments when you feel so silly because you're in so much pain and you think this pain doesn't actually exist, and it's all put on by me doing these things that are, and you have to stop the negative self-talk there and just be like, yo, you're doing, be compassionate. And that's another form like that. Those are the exact moments when you need to love yourself, are the moments when you feel like you feel like you don't deserve love, I guess. You feel like you're not enough for love, or the exact moments where you have to trust yourself and love yourself more, and just get out of them and also accept them and be like, hey, this is, there are natural highs, there are natural lows. Um, but it's just doing. Like I would venture to say, only because I can talk from my own experience, that everyone has something that they see, a vision that they see, that they think, I want to do that, but I don't see anyone else doing it. And I don't hear anyone else doing it. So how can I know it? How can I know it's right? And you just have to accept that it's right because you are inherently, but just because that's true doesn't mean it will be right if you do it tomorrow. You might have to just keep doing it and doing it and doing it until finally 10, 15 years later, you're it works. It works and people catch on, maybe. And if you're not okay with that, then you can just say, okay, well then maybe I don't actually want to do this. But but I would ask yourself why? Why am I not okay with this? So yeah,
Not too shabby, brother. Very nice. Very nice. All right, now
yapping a bit.
be I forgot to write this. I mean, we talked about identifiers earlier, but one that you are really, really, it's so cool to see you embody and just hearing you, talk about in the process, but now it's coming to fruition. You're a freaking musician, dude. And
Yeah, man.
your first single dropped recently.
Yes,
And
it did.
tell me, I guess tell the audience just a little bit about the creative process of writing a song, getting in and producing the song. What was it like? Because I'm not sure if you like grew up doing vocal lessons and having the
Did
confidence
not.
to then sing a song and bring that thing all together, and then we can talk about the aftermath afterwards. But what was that process like writing
Sure.
your first song?
Yeah. It started, man, with a chord progression that I thought sounded pretty cool. That is just the rhythm guitar kind of like backing track of the song. And it's the intro. And I thought I like this. And I worked with a really, really incredible person and one of my best friends, Evan Ross, who did like he's done, did a ton of sound design and music production out in Los Angeles throughout his life, and really just kind of stumbled upon him by, seems kind of like fate, but fate's chance, I guess. And we started working together, and it's another one of those things where it's just like you work on it every day. Didn't work on the song every day, but you work on it. Consistently. And I wanted to say something about consistency too, because I think although I do create consistently on social, I would say, uh, I try to always make sure it's coming from a place of love. And if I'm not in a place of love, then I try to get there first. And if I can't get a video up, then that's okay. Like, it's not, you can take time off. The consistency, I think, is more about just the consistency of self-expression. And I just see it as it manifests itself onto social a lot. But the song, yeah, and we wrote a lot of it in the studio, and then I wrote a lot of it at home, and I just was really patient with it, which was hard because I thought, man, I love this, I love the sound of this, I want it out right now. But there's so much mixing and mastering and um, automate. Like, there's so much that goes into making a song, and I'm really blessed that Evan is such a pro. Uh, but it was such an enjoyable experience, and now I'm happy to have it out. And it's just like every other piece of art where you have no idea if it's what it is now. But you made it, and and you tried to be truthful, and now it's everybody else's, which is cool. So I'm really pumped about that. Music is such a gift to me, and it's becoming really more and more one of the biggest things I think about, um, in that long list of things I think about.
Yeah, and it's called Cup of Tea, and
Hmm.
um, is
And
the
I'm gonna play it for you
story
right now. No, I'm
yeah, is the
joking.
story itself, is it more of a feeling, or is there like, if would you mind sharing like what the story behind Cup of Tea, like if you're listening to the lyrics and you're put into that space, what are you trying to evoke in your audience?
I'm not trying to evoke anything. I don't think anything that's evoked is purely their experience, which is my favorite part of it. Um, Songwriting is really, I enjoy it a lot because I found that maybe I'm not someone that's, at least at this stage of my creative life in terms of creating music, I'm more attracted to writing things that feel really honest, and that and I don't really, and if they don't make complete sense, like if I listen to something or look at the words and I think that makes sense to me and I can't even describe why it makes sense to me, then I'm ready to go. Um and yeah, I don't know, I don't think like it's good enough. I just try to get to a point where it's good enough, because perfection doesn't exist, and spending time trying to get the perfect lyric, like I don't know that it matters as much as expressing and sharing stuff with the world does. And yeah, so I don't what the song means. There are certainly things that I think it means, but I'm excited to look back in a year and be like, now I get what that lyric meant. But I just try to, I honestly, sounds really woo woo, sounds really spiritual. I just try to be open to whatever comes out in the moment, and then just trust that and be like, okay, sounds good to me. I kind of, I get what I'm saying. Um, and even when I don't, if it's interesting to me, if I'm inspired by it, I'm like, okay, let's keep it.
Right on, brother. Right on. And I think this is a cool tie-in, because talking about the positive aspect of the social media platform is that you can take things possibly unrelated to social media and creative pursuits and leverage it using social media. And that's something that you did with
Mm,
Written by a Woman, which was originally just all it was a screenplay and then a short film, and then you leverage that into growing that and reaching audiences. Because there is
mm,
that thing where it's like we make art truthfully for ourselves, but
mm,
there's also like the paradox of, it's like it's meant to be shared with others at the same time. And if
right.
you keep all your art to yourself and nobody ever sees it, is it da 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 da, you know? And social media is a way to be able to share that feeling that you've had with other people, and to connect, to move to whatever that is. And you're doing that right now with the music as well with Cup of Tea. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, 'cause I'm genuinely curious, because right now you're doing the every single day, posting a song, drinking your cup of tea, and then Bob Duncan, what's the story behind that?
Dude, I just think he'd rock. I just think he'd jam with the song. I just think if we get it in his ears, I think he'd really enjoy it. um, Dude, honestly, I used to be really afraid of showing all the sides of myself because I thought that made me a crazy person to, one, be interested in all this stuff, and two, think myself capable of creating all this stuff. And now I realize it's just like every project's different, and maybe projects fall into categories of like writing or comedy or acting or like maybe or music. Maybe they fall into those categories, but really it's just these are these are diary entries, and these are things that I feel really passionate about. Um, when it comes to Bob or Eric, uh, just sort of had a thought one time that it'd be really funny to, or it'd just be cool to get him to listen to it. And I thought, that's an interesting marketing thing, and I wanted to market the song. So here we are, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm just trying to be, trying to just, yeah, be unapologetic about it because there's no, I think we're so apologetic a lot of times uh, when we express ourselves. It's like we get big for a second, we go, sorry, sorry, sorry. But it's like, no, just stay big because, and anyone who, if anyone has interest in making you smaller, then like that's a great sign that this isn't maybe someone I should listen to. Uh, so people think, I think a lot of times people think they can sort of just, and there's nothing wrong with it because it is a scary world. Um, they can just kind of slide between the cracks and not show the entire side of themselves. But the best thing in the world, in my opinion, is self-expression, and it gives you this weightlessness, this levity that you can just float around and like. So that's what I think. I think just trying to promote the song, and that seemed like a cool way to do it, and it was fun. And honestly, it's just another bit for me to focus on, and I love riffing on bits. So
Amazing, bro. Dude, you're crushing it. I love to see it. I'm excited to see where, what else
thanks,
comes
man.
through because the creative ideas are just flowing and I'm sure there are days where it's maybe a little bit lower, days where it's just 10 ideas come out, but it's really cool to witness
Yeah.
and be a part of that journey. Now to
Hey,
wrap
thanks,
up,
man.
of course, man, of course. Now to wrap up the episode, I got a few rapid fire questions at the end. Now we did this
Okay.
before, but I clocked it and I make sure I'm not asking any duplicates here. So fresh
Oh,
is
great.
fresh. All right, Mr. Sam.
Now, real quick,
Yes.
do you want? I used to listen to Jay Shetty's podcast. Do you want? And he did a fast five at the end.
He
Do you
always
want?
lets you riff.
Yeah, yeah. He's like one word, and then they. Do you want a certain amount of time, or just rapid fire? We just go.
Rapid fire, but if you feel called to go a little deeper into it, go deeper. No restrictions.
Sweet.
Yeah, that happened. I love it. Jay Shetty's podcast. He's always like one word answers, and then like there's maybe like a dime a dozen that actually do one word answers. Everyone's giving
Yeah.
paragraphs, and I love paragraphs, but you give like a one word answer and then maybe elaborate, but we'll get there.
Right. Right.
All right,
Right.
brother. At this time in life, what would you say brings you the most joy?
Connection with people.
What are your top 4 values?
Things I value. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, self-expression, connection, honesty, and kindness slash love.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I think.
And these aren't gonna be all super serious. Well, who's your celeb crush, if you don't mind? Like OG celeb
Uh,
crush?
what's funny, dude, is my sister posted a video last night of me reacting to like some, she follows some account, and I really admire Gracie Abrams' music, and she's been my celeb crush right now. Same with Maggie Rogers, and I think they just seem like beautiful souls. I don't know them, uh, but if we're talking about celebrity crush, then those two.
Yeah, baby. No limit, no limit. All right, now in regards to like just the content creation, you have so many ideas, and I'm sure the ideas are sparked from a source and inspiration, like the server bits, which are crushing, by the way, like inspired by like your serving experience. So what would you say, like where are you drawing inspiration from right now?
Trying to draw from everywhere,
Hmm.
uh, which gets to be a lot, but um, that's the I look at it more as a blessing when because like I tend to be someone that can analyze things, and I think I used to be someone that could analyze them to no end and try to find meaning in everything. And there's something really beautiful about finding meaning in a lot of things, but I think we also have to be very conscious that that it's about love, it's about kindness. Like you don't want to overanalyze to the point where you don't want to. I read a quote from someone that said, I fought myself into suffering so many times, but I've never once thought myself into happiness. And I guess that's kind of my goal. It's just when I analyze these things, think myself into happiness, and then the inspiration and ideas just follow.
I love that. That's a freaking baller quote, dude. I'm gonna use that. All right.
Oh, thanks,
What
man.
is your spirit animal?
Spirit. So like actual animal,
Hmm. Or it could be, I mean, you can go etheric with this. I'm cool. No, no,
spirit
no say.
animal, spirit animal. Um, so many animals are going through my head right now. Let me just land on one. A fox.
Ooh,
I don't
sneaky.
know why. Yeah, right, right. I don't know why I picked that, but
I dig it. I dig it. Are there any show you had talked about House of the Dragon, which I need to finish, by the way. But
mm,
are there any shows you're binging right now, or any films that you just saw that you highly recommend?
um, let me letterbox it real quick because there are. Uh, I watched Baby Reindeer. I think his name's Richard Gadd.
Mm-hmm.
Is a brilliant person, and I'm doing a lot of writing about what that show meant to me. And I think I might put out
Oh, essay
uh,
videos.
a little essay on YouTube. I just watched Gladiator for the first time
Bro, we still need to
because,
talk about that because I remember, I remember you
dude,
like I think it was like a couple weeks ago.
it's my third favorite film of
I
all
think it's my
time
third
now.
too, dude. It's my
Really?
top four. It's my favorite.
That I couldn't believe. I thought it was gonna be a little corny. No, it is. That is a triumph. And I'm so into stoicism. That's a triumph. I also watched Brokeback Mountain. Oh, in your review, Andrew, you talked about the physicality of Gyllenhaal and Keith and how you can just tell they're going for it
So
in a
committed.
way. They're so committed that it's not, you don't even see you can only see the commitment, which I
Dude,
thought was really cool.
have you seen the interview with Heath Ledger talking about the love? Like someone was kind of making like a trope around homosexuality, that
I
it's not
think
love or
maybe.
whatever, and his response
Yeah,
was
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
glowing,
I've seen
like
that
just
video.
standing in the truth of love. And he was so serious,
Right.
and some of the other cast was like kind of laughing at the new thing or whatever, and he was so serious. And I freaking love him, dude.
Yeah. I've heard of that. Or no, I've heard. Sorry, I'm trying to find other movies I watch. Um,
Dude, also wanted to add, Gladiator
yeah.
2, bro. Now it's your boy Paul Mescal. How are you feeling? How are we feeling about this?
uh, feeling excited for that to come out. I that's he's a huge inspiration, um, in terms of acting. Uh, and feeling great, feeling really. I'm excited for that Pedro Pascal. I also love oh God, I forget his name, Fred from White Lotus, who played the brother in the first season. Fred, his last name starts with a B, and then Joseph Quinn's in it as well. Uh, so so yeah, Gladiator, and then Brokeback Mountain, and then Baby Reindeer, and then
Demolition was on there?
I just watched Demolition, but I wanted to watch Donnie Darko too.
Oh, yeah. Going through a Jake
Been
Gyllenhaal book. Yeah.
a little bit. I also want to watch it. There's so much I want to watch. I want to
Mhm.
watch his First Accused on Netflix or on Apple TV.
Mhm.
But the last thing I was gonna say, I still have yet to finish The Sopranos, but I'm in season 6 of it. We're taking it so steady, me and Tony Soprano. But
Mhm. Very nice. Very nice,
I
brother.
think that's
All right.
it.
And last question, for anyone listening who might be considers themselves an artist, wants to be an artist, and if you're listening to this and you
Mm.
want to be an artist, it starts with the belief of saying, I am an artist, you are an artist, you are an artist. But anyone going through that who might be going through kind of the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, the struggles of thinking that they don't have value or life is hitting them, or they're an actor and they're getting a lot of it's like a dry season, or anyone kind of who's in the artistic realm, the artistic space, that's going through a bit of a tough time, what's like one piece of advice you would have for them to just keep moving forward?
Go follow 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 the simple inspiration that can only come from yourself, and never bail on your story. Um, follow the simple inspiration that comes from yourself, the things that you think of, the ideas that you inevitably have that are based on the experiences you've had and also the way you look at the world. Follow them, create around them, believe in them, trust them, and then just don't bail on the story that you've created. Like, think about how many I spent some time trying to mimic and studying the careers of artists that I loved. But I get this feeling that maybe they weren't studying any careers and they were just going where their inspiration led them. You know, especially when it comes to like actors that are on the big stage and have only ever really been seen on the big stage. We're in a time where social media is so new that like just because these bigger actors or bigger artists aren't creating on there doesn't mean that it's not valuable. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say is just follow your inspiration that comes from within. Keep looking within because you might be right, you might be wrong, but if you follow you, then like that's the path that you need to go down. You're not going to regret following what your gut says. You're going to regret going 70% with your gut. You're going to regret the 30% of people you listen to along the way, maybe, I think. Um, so that, and then don't bail on your story. Your story is your story, and your story is beautiful. And everything that happens in your life leads you to there is no destination. It's just like, just hold your story true to yourself and like, and embrace it. That Embrace the parts of you that you think aren't worthy of embracing, and crazy things happen, I think. Crazy in a good way.
Amen, brother. Amen. All right, my dude. You got so many balls, beautiful balls up in the air. Let the audience know where they can find you, where they can support you, what platforms to reach out, and if you got anything coming up, how we can check it out.
Oh, sure. I'm on Instagram at Steve Conno. I'm on TikTok at Steve Content, Kontent. In my bio there, you'll also see an account called Konnovitch Band, which my sister and I have started recently. We'll be doing more musical stuff, and we are doing musical stuff. My link tree in my bio. I also post stuff on YouTube, and then if you ever just need to chat, or want to chat, or have an opportunity, or want to collab, or want to be kind, just hit me on one of those channels, and I'll be there most likely.
Amazing, bro, dude. I appreciate you, man. I love you. Thank you for hopping on for the
I love you,
second
dude.
time,
Of
bro.
course,
So blessed, bro. So blessed. All right, my guy.
dude. Thank you so much.